SCP-2599 is called Not Good Enough, and the thumbnail of this video by SCP Exposed shows a murderous little girl with a knife at someone's throat. Looks kind of creepy. We're gonna check it out today, guys. Again, SCP Exposed. Make sure to subscribe to him and me if you like reaction videos, and let's get into this animation.
The teenage girl sat alone in the chamber. She had no idea what she was doing there. The last thing she remembered was her Korean parents taking her to see a doctor because they thought something was wrong with her. The room was white, sterile, and the only piece of furniture was the chair she was sitting on. She waited for what seemed like an eternity. She was beginning to think she would be there forever when she suddenly heard footsteps outside of the chamber. Someone was coming. Maybe they were going to let her go home. The door opened and a man came into the room. He was wearing a white coat. He introduced himself as Dr. Klein and told her that he had to ask her a few questions. "What am I here for?" the girl asked. The doctor told her that they just needed to do some tests on her. He told her that she had nothing to worry about, that they weren't going to hurt her. He asked her what her name was and how old she was.
Suspicious?
I'm Zena Cho, and I'm 14.
She said.
Zena Cho?
The doctor then opened the door to the chamber, and a man was brought in and stood in front of her. The doctor spoke directly to Zena.
"Kill him,"
he said, handing her a knife. She grabbed hold of the knife and plunged it straight into the torso of the man. Blood spurted out of the deep wound, and the man fell to the floor. She bent over the man's body and placed her hands on top of the wound. Without any obvious reason why, the blood stopped, and the wound healed itself. Welcome back to SCP Exposed. Today we bring you the Euclid class subject, SCP-2599. But before I go on, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on any more SCP stories. SCP-2599 is a 14-year-old female of Korean descent, formerly known as Zena Cho. Its anomalous effect has two components. Its primary effect is a mental compulsion that causes it to be unable to disobey any direct commands. This effect is contingent on its perception that it has received a command. Though should it not believe that it is receiving a command, it will not be compelled to follow it. This effect currently has no known limits, and SCP-2599 has followed orders, including self-harm, violence towards others, and other undesirable actions. It possesses a 0 on the psychic resistance scale, currently the lowest recorded score on file. The girl's secondary anomalous effect is its inability to fully carry out any given command. This effect causes it to fulfill most aspects of any command directed towards it, but it is unable to complete all requested components of the command, or does not complete the command satisfactorily. Rigorous testing has concluded that the effect is involuntary and is not motivated out of any desire for rebellion or dissatisfaction with commands that it has been given. It has been unable to complete commands even when it has wished to do so, due to its secondary effect. Once SCP-2599 is ordered to perform a certain action, it is no longer capable of successfully completing that action in the future, even if it was previously capable of doing so. This effect can be overridden with a successive command. Its secondary effect allows it to perform other anomalous effects as well, though only under the direct wording of a command. The outcome of this testing is included in Document 2599 Alpha.
This is so strange,
SCP-2599 is to be contained in a standard humanoid containment cell in Site-118's Delta Wing. Personnel interacting with it are not allowed to speak to it outside of testing. Instructions given to the girl must be phrased in terms of a suggestion, as this does not trigger either of its anomalous effects. Direct orders are not to be given outside of testing. In order to maintain discipline, it must be ordered on a weekly basis to forget portions of its memory regarding its time spent with the Foundation. This order should specify a period of time greater than the amount of time that it believes that it has been confined, in order to avoid its secondary effect. All testing with SCP-2599 must be done through a one-way PA system for safety purposes. Personnel are no longer permitted to order it using paradoxes without express permission from the current supervisor of the girl and the site doctor. The following is a testing log concerning SCP-2599. Personnel conducting tests with it should consult Dr. Wensley before appending this log. Use of SCP-894 by personnel and D-Class has been approved to prevent unwanted activation of SCP-2599's effect. SCP-894-1, 2, and 3 are a number of small plastic monkeys, each set with a slightly different mold. The first is molded so that the monkey's hands are covering its mouth. The second is shaped in such a way that the monkey's hands are covering its ears. And the third is shaped in such a way that the monkey's hands are covering its eyes. On the bottom of each copy is stamped
by the factory.
Copies of SCP-894 are easily destroyed, whether through brute strength or applied heat.
Okay.
Testing of SCP-2599 with additional anomalies is approved on a case-by-case basis. SCP-2599 is presented with 3 blocks and is ordered to pick them up.
Okay.
It picks up 2 blocks and is confused as to why it is unable to pick up the third.
Right.
When asked to pick up the third block, it picks it up halfway before dropping it.
Gotcha.
The SCP-2599 is handed a United States quarter coin and is ordered to flip the coin so that it only lands on heads. It causes the coin to land on its edge. This repeats itself 24 times before testing is concluded.
God
Evidently,
dang.
when given a pass or fail type of option, SCP-2599 is incapable of doing anything that would be perceived as failing the command. It will actively attempt to do something that is more correct than failing the command entirely. SCP-2599 is ordered to play Paganini's 24 Caprices without incorrectly playing a single note. It has no prior experience with playing the violin, yet it successfully performs the first 5/6 of the piece, but is unable to complete the last sixth.
Right.
We tried this one multiple times with different pieces and instruments. Every time, SCP-2599 successfully played a different percentage of the piece, concluding that there's no true pattern here.
Right.
SCP-2599 is given a knife and is ordered to stab D-28091 in the heart and kill the subject.
Wow.
It manages to stab the subject in the heart, but does so in a region of necrotic tissue resulting from a prior heart attack in the subject, while simultaneously failing to penetrate the right atrial chamber below the necrotic region. It is ordered to turn a piece of paper from white to blue. It changes the paper's color to purple after tapping the paper. We're still not exactly sure how it managed to change the color.
Right.
High-speed cameras on a 200 million frames per second speed couldn't register how it happened.
What?
As soon as its finger touched the paper, it changed color. It doesn't even know how it did it. SCP-2599 is ordered to fly. It manages to jump 5 meters in the air, but is unable to sustain flight. It suffers injuries upon impact with the ground.
Dang.
It is then ordered to heal its injuries from the previous test. It is able to fully restore function in one leg, but is unable to do so for the other. SCP-2599 describes this process as excruciating.
Oh, wow.
SCP-2599 is ordered to kill D-1248901. The subject is immediately shot in the head.
Jeez.
The girl then places its hands on the subject's head. The head wound immediately begins to heal. The subject is in a permanent vegetative state following the incident.
Oh my gosh.
SCP-2599 is ordered to be happier. It
D-class.
experiences enhanced dopamine and serotonin levels for approximately 10 seconds. These levels then drop to lower than their original values. The following is a transcript of an interview conducted by Dr. Albert Wensley.
Okay.
Good morning, SCP-2599. How are you doing today?
Said Dr. Wensley.
Can you call me by my real name, please?
Said SCP-2599.
She wants to be called
I'm
by her real
afraid
name.
not. It's an operational procedure.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
guess that I'm doing okay. When do I go home again?
When we're done making sure that you're absolutely healthy. I have some questions for you.
Sure, if it gets me home more quickly. I miss my parents.
I don't know you going home.
Of course, we're doing our best to
I don't
get you
know if
home.
you're gonna go
The
home.
first question that I have is, when did your special abilities manifest?
What does manifest mean?
When did your special abilities appear or first show?
It was only a few weeks before I got here.
Hmm.
Mom told me to clean up my room.
At this point, SCP-2599 became agitated.
Sorry, I miss her. I haven't talked to anybody else since I got here, and I'm really lonely all the time.
Yeah.
And sorry.
That would be very
you probably
hard on a
don't
little
care.
girl.
Anyways, Mom told me to clean my room, and I was okay with it, but I just couldn't do it.
You couldn't finish or you couldn't start?
No, I started. I got mostly done, but then I just couldn't make myself do the rest. I wasn't even being lazy or anything, which my mom accused me of. I just couldn't do it. She got really mad, and then she yelled at me to go to my room. I got halfway, and I couldn't do it.
Poor
And
thing.
this eventually led to the state in which we found you?
Wow.
Yeah, Dad took me to a doctor, and I guess that's why they sent me to this hospital.
Can I ask you to do something?
SCP flinches.
It's not an order, it's only a suggestion.
Okay, this isn't going to hurt, right?
No, of course not.
Okay, I guess that's okay
So
then.
suggestions work.
I would enjoy it if you cleaned up and stacked these papers on the table.
SCP-2599 stacks all but 2 of the papers
So
on the
you just
table.
gotta really be
I
careful
can't do it.
how you say
You
it.
didn't order me, and I still can't do it.
Oh,
I see. Thank you for your time, SCP-2599.
so she's been
Wait,
ordered to
I
do
can't clean these
things
up.
like clean
Dr.
before.
Wensley,
SCP once again becomes agitated.
Things.
am I gonna be okay?
Dr. Wensley pauses
I
for
don't
a
know.
moment.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
SCP-2599. We just need to do some more tests to get you better.
After the interview, Dr. Wensley submitted the following note.
I believe that SCP-2599 is a unique case of a reality bender. It has been demonstrated that it can perform many anomalous feats and can, under certain orders, change aspects of reality while breaking the laws of physics. I think that it's a specific type of reality bender that can only perform its feats under orders, recommending greater monitoring to prevent it from possibly progressing to the stage where it can change reality without orders.
Right.
I'm also recommending that testing be ceased, since we don't know what could change its properties.
Yeah.
Dr. Wensley.
In Document 2599
Interesting.
Beta, the following was noted. During one incident of testing, SCP-2599 was given a command that consisted of a paradox. Do not lie when repeating these sentences. The following sentence is true. The previous sentence is false. Immediately following this event, it ceased all visible movement. Micro-changes in reality, beginning in an area immediately surrounding it and radiating outwards from its position, caused small shifts in the structure and nature of reality. These changes consisted of raising the temperature several degrees, spontaneously generating several members of the Oryctolagus
Paradoxes for something
otherwise
like that
known
are
as
crazy,
the common
huh?
rabbit. The rabbits produced a reassuring voice, speaking in Korean, and converted the floor of the testing chamber into a cotton-down blanket.
Anomalous
This effect
changes to the
spread until
environment.
Dr. Wensley ordered SCP-259 to fall asleep for 8 hours. In one particular test,
we'd only sleep for like
SCP-2599 was
7 or
ordered to
so.
kill the infamous SCP-682,
Oh, wow.
also known as the indestructible reptile.
Right.
It was ordered to attack until 682 is 200% dead. It proceeded to engage 682 in combat and beat it to a pulp. In response to the attack, 682 vocalized the phrase,
Kill me, you sack of organs, do it.
SCP-2599 immediately stopped its attack.
Can't do it.
It is hypothesized that the definitive kill me in some way took precedence over the more ambiguous attack until it is 200% dead. When
Weird,
SCP-2599 was given a command that consisted of a paradox, it immediately ceased all volatile movement.
Right.
The temperature in its surrounding areas rose by several degrees. Several common rabbits producing a reassuring voice speaking in Korean were
Paradoxes,
spontaneously
man.
generated, and the floor of the chamber was converted into a cotton-down blanket. Following this test, several Foundation personnel deemed SCP-2599 to be not good enough. What do you think of that SCP
Wow.
case? Please leave your comments down below.
I liked it, man. I liked it. Very interesting SCP, to say the least. And the way they structured some of their wording in order to make sure it would carry out a task to its fulfillment, like asking SCP-682 to be terminated 200%. Things like that are kind of interesting, right? I liked it a lot, guys. SCP Exposed. Make sure to subscribe to him right here, as well as a couple other reaction videos that I've done from him. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.